chat room. There you are. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the show. It's Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I'm your host, Hal Sparks, the most Hal Sparks you will ever see. Hal Sparksing anywhere in your general vicinity. Please share the show out. Send some likes and some loves and some. It's the cheapest, freest thing you can do to support the show. And you can also subscribe to the podcast, Hal Sparks Podcast Mega Worldwide. I think the phrase is wherever you get your podcasts, which, quite frankly, is none of my business. I'm not gonna peek at you through the bushes while you're getting your podcasts on. I'm just not gonna do it. Even if I had a podcast called Peeking Through the Bushes, I wouldn't do it. But especially not now, you maniacs. You beloveds. Don't forget to Hal Sparks your way, Hal Sparks through this as you Hal Sparks while you're Hal Sparksing, because I got to say, it's a good day to Hal Sparks in general. Now, what's Donnie and Mike's little secret? I think it's that he thinks he's going to be able to maintain the speakership and therefore not certify the election, no matter what happens. It won't matter. He's going to lose. That said, can we all agree? Let's just start right out of this. Can we all agree, ladies and germs, if I may, that one of the things they teach you in Dum Dum Law School, in How to Be a Legal Beagle for Dummies, or The Complete Idiot's Guide to Lawfare, one of the things you always hear, or if you've just watched, I don't know, 2 episodes of Boston Legal, or half an episode, the later half, of Law and Order at some point in your life, you probably know the old adage for attorneys: never ask a question you don't already know the answer to. When you're talking to a witness or someone on the stand and you're asking them a question, don't ask them the question unless you already know the answer. I suppose there's a softer addendum to this, which is don't ask them a question even if you don't know the answer, but no matter what answer they give, it helps your case. That would be the other thing. Even if they throw a total monkey wrench in, if they say something totally insane or they lie their ass off or they tell the truth, it benefits you, right? That would be if they are totally guilty and you know it and you're just, I don't know, you're batting them around like a cat with a fucking mouse, right? So, yeah, never ever ask a question you don't know the answer to with whatever they're going to say. The other thing too is, don't ask a question you know I think the bigger one. Don't ask a question you know the answer to. If they answer it, you're screwed. If they actually tell the truth, your case falls apart. I would avoid, I think, and I think many of you would, avoid that question entirely. Yes? Yes? They did say Jehovah. And that, ladies and germs, ladies and jinx, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to Powder Springs, Georgia. Now, I got to tell you, Powder Springs sounds like a joke you play on thirsty people. Powder Springs sounds like something you'd hear on Lake Wobegon. Made powder milk biscuits. Heavens, they're tasty. Made with real powdered spring water. Just add water. We go now. Join me, won't you? To NFAB. To NFAB. Fab. That would be fab. You know, the Lord works in mysterious ways, especially when arranging for the national faith and brotherhood. Faith artists of bullshit. I don't know I can't see. I don't care, really. So this is from Donald Trump's own channel. And Donald Trump is at a faith and freedom leaders thing or whatever. And apparently they're having a real hard time, and I will get to that in a minute, getting Christians to vote. It's weird. One, they don't normally vote because they believe that their kingdom is beyond this world and what happens here is in God's hands, and the weather and the politics and stuff, that's somebody else's problem. Trust in Jesus and drive with your elbows. All right, so that's part of it all the time, apparently. Then the other half of it would be that they can't bring themselves, and I don't know why this is, but maybe some of you, maybe there's some maggots in the audience today, and I have no doubt because you guys help us in the algorithm more than any other single group. They have a hard time bringing themselves to vote for a rapist, as it were. Whether there's a P or a C in there, in the middle of their RA and the IST, they seem to have a bit of an issue with that. It's weird. It's almost like some of them might even take their faith seriously. I know that sounds nuts, but apparently it might be true. Now, so what's he got to do? Well, we saw him go to Madison Square Garden, an area he's not going to win at all, but he has no other chance than this to ever be in that venue again for the rest of his life, because this is it. This is it. Make no mistakes where you are. You're going no further. He knows this is it. He knows it's coming to an end. So he wanted to do the Madison Square Garden thing, check it off his bucket list, and then... And the other thing is that he's in Texas defending territory, or he's showing up at these Christian events trying to crack these Christians into getting them over the line. Now, if you're way ahead in the swing states and all that kind of stuff, can't you take this vote for granted? You're the most Jesus-y candidate that's ever happened. They all think the sun shines out of your ass. Your idea of supporting Israel is to let the most violent members of its leadership do whatever the fuck they want to the rest of the world. So I don't know why the fuck you'd even need to see these people. Don't you have them locked in? This is it. Make no mistake where you are. All right, so you're going out there. All right. Now, why did I bring up the whole question thing earlier? Why? Well, let me tell you. Ladies and gentlemen, never ask a question you don't already know the answer to in a legal setting, and don't do it in an interview either, unless you're trying to discover an untold thing. If you got a serial killer sitting across from you, you can ask a rando question to try and get him to accidentally blurt out where the bodies are. Shit like that. Cool. But don't give him never mind. We can go down that road forever. This lady, by the way, you might remember her as the jacking off Jesus lady from Trump's administration. She gave him a job. Now, you might not recognize her that much because she's had a lot of, she's got a lot of the, she went to Eric Bolling's person and got a bunch of, and a lot of, that's filler and Botox for those of you that don't speak imbecile. And she's very shellacked. I gotta say, she looks like someone stuck a straw in her ass and went, yeah, this is Paula White, ladies and gentlemen. This is the National Faith Advisory Board. Wouldn't that be what church is? Sorry. Okay. I'm here to advise you on your faith. This is, if you are a person of faith, this is kind of what it should be. Anyways, so she asked him a question, and we're only going to do two little bits of this because he just blathers on and tells his bullshit stories. But there's a couple of things I want to share with you. Also, I don't know what the filming is like on this one, so I just want to warn you up front, there may be some nunting. There might be some nunting. Look out for the nunting. Well, thanks for nunting. Yeah. Here's the question. You'll see what I mean.
How is faith formed in you, and what does it mean to you?
Okay. In case you missed that, how is faith formed in you, and what does it mean to you? Now, we all know the answer to that question is very simple. It isn't and nothing. That's the answer. That's the real answer. Now, but you guys know me. I love hearing some him trying to answer this shit. Oh, here we go.
Well, thank you very much, Paula. And you have been. I've known you for a long time, and she's a great person, a great woman. And really, it's an honor. It's an honor.
NFAB crowds are the greatest fabs in the world. Hold for applause.
It really is. And she's a hard worker, too. Boy, does she work.
Yeah, so she can't work smart, so I guess that's the alternative.
And, I advised her. She had some property, and she grew out of the churches. She got bigger. She was going wild in Florida. I met her, and she called and asked for advice. One of the churches, it was in the middle of nowhere, and she had big, the number of people going every Sunday. And she said, you know, they've offered me money for this land. I can put it to very good use with all the people that need help. Should I sell? I said, you might as well sell. Take the money right now because it can change really quickly. And
Jesus Christ. Okay. Just in case you aren't following, she's selling a church space, like the land around her church, because it's in the middle of nowhere. She's got a lot of extra property she doesn't need for fucking parking. Whatever. Anyways, I can sell this and I can take the money. What do I do? And he's like, put it into real estate because fuck these idiots. That's what he saw, like actual buildings and apartment buildings. And he's starting to drive himself towards that answer and away from it. So he advised her on secular real estate deals. Just in case, this isn't important to the whole thing, but fuck him.
And she'll go a little bit further out, and she just kept doing that. I said, this is a great business. This is pretty good. But she put the money to great use, and you've helped so many people, and it's really great. And really nice to know you.
Thank you,
really nice to know you. Thank you.
Okay. Did you guys get the answer about how faith is formed in his life and what it means to him? You guys got that, right? Oh, right on, Torchy. Voted today. Excellent.
Look, we're going through a lot of problems in our country. If you take a look at the anger, the problems that we have, and a lot of it is that.
By the way, he's mostly talking about trying to urinate.
It's less based on religion now than it was 25 years ago and 50 years ago. And I mean, we were people would say, a Christian and really religious, even other faiths country.
That's totally how I would put it. Way to sum it up, dude. This is the thing. Master communicator. Like, say what you will, but goddamn, let's run that by. run that by me again.
Years ago and 50 years ago. And I mean, we were people would say, a Christian and really religious, even other faiths country.
Yeah, that's exactly. I mean, it's like a direct quote from how people used to describe America as a multi-ethnic, multicultural, multi-religious society with a secular government. That's how most is, but maybe even other. Why does he always sound like he's being attacked by the words he's trying to say?
And that seems to be heading in the wrong direction. And I think as that goes down, I think that our country goes down. I really do. I think this is a country that needs religion. It's like the glue that holds it together, and we don't have that. That's why you
Gee, I wonder why she's clapping it. Couldn't possibly be that that's her bread and butter, and that's how she's made all the money that allows her to buy all that land tax-free. Right.
You are the most important people, and I'm.
By the way, this was a question about faith and what it means to you.
I'm not sure you even realize it. And they're trying to hurt you. They're trying to stymie you. This new administration.
They're trying to curly Joe you. They're trying to alfalfa you. They're trying to Are they trying to stymie us? Well, if they try to spanky us, I might be for it.
This new radical left group of people, and it's not so new. It's been around.
Yeah, I would argue. It's new, is it? She's 60. I mean, at least keep your attacks current.
For a while, and they are people that are not nice people. If you happen to be Catholic, we don't have too many Catholics here, maybe, but boy, they are persecuting Catholics. I actually said, how could.
The current sitting president is a practicing Catholic who literally has had ashes on his forehead for Ash Wednesday every year of his presidency. Catholic church attendance is actually up, but I digress.
A Catholic possibly vote for Kamala? How could that? I mean, no, the level of anger and the level of vitriol. You know, when you see what's
wait, because her husband's a Jew? Is that what's up? Huh?
Going on with the FBI and the Catholic Church, I say, what is happening? And you know, the expression is that you're next, because they're all.
That is the expression. That is, you're next. Yeah. Yeah, I think that expression is from Invasion of the Body Snatchers, I think.
Everybody's next with this group.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the expression is you're next, but basically everybody's next.
and they have a very bad agenda, and we have to stop it, and we have to win this election. I think winning this election, I think it's going to be the most important election in the history of our country.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck faith and whatever we were talking about. I'd so much rather you just kind of default to stump speech bullshit and attack her because it's a crowd pleaser.
So
anyways, back to the faith thing. I'm kidding.
let's go back for just a minute. Let's go back into your childhood, because you
Oh dear.
didn't start going to church when you were a politician. Church was such a formation of your faith, going to Sunday school, going to
Oh yeah, it totally was.
the Presbyterian Church, Norman Vincent Peale's, Billy Graham Crusade. Talk about the formation of your faith as a child.
Yeah. I mean, you avoided it. Talk about the formation of your faith. Oh, you know, church is a thing, and churches are very churchy.
So when I was very young, my
Long time ago.
mother was from Scotland, and she was religious. I don't know as religious as some of the people in this room, but she was. She was religious. She was a believer. And my father was a real worker, and he was religious too, but he was working all the time. And a good man, great heart, a very strong guy, but had a great heart.
Did I mention his heart?
And I remember would walk down the street, would walk down some street, and
This is he gave $100 to a bum in a tin cup story. Something that later his son would grow up, probably through the teachings of the church they went to infrequently, to learn how to defraud charities entirely.
there'd be somebody holding a cup. You don't see it too much anymore, but you
No, mostly he's thinking of newsreels he watched as a child.
used to have, and they'd have pencils, and they'd actually sell you pencils. But
Yeah, that's at least they had a fucking job.
he'd always put $100 in that cup, always. He'd never pass that cup. And then $100 is probably like $1,000 today, right? So, but he was always very generous in that way. So,
Okay, first of all, if that ever happened, it happened once, and not every time. Secondly, Trump apparently developed his jealousy of the poor as a young, rich asshole. Was like, why are you giving him $100? Where's my fucking $100? Which is clearly the lesson he took away.
I grew up in Queens, and
Oh, God.
good. We have a lot of people. Good. It's good education. Getting through Queens is pretty good education. And that includes Brooklyn and a lot of other places, actually.
No, it doesn't. Queens does not include Brooklyn. Queens is a different place. If you're going to say it takes a lot to learn to get through anywhere, sure.
But Queens was good. We had a very nice area, really a good area.
You know what? I like the way you could spin a yarn.
Yeah, but
Sorry.
my parents thought going to church was important, and we'd go to church. But I really went to Sunday school, and I learned, and Sunday school really took place a lot of times on a Saturday. Does that make sense? Does that still happen, Saturday? I call it Saturday church. And which
Brilliant. And it's just, it's his grasp of the language. So Sunday school happened on Saturday church. Okay.
spend an hour, and we had some.
Also, at my church, we had Sunday and Wednesday, and we would have like religious teaching groups for the kids that were separate. It was like Sunday school, but it wasn't just on Sunday. And the reason they call it Sunday school is because you used to put the kids in that room while the parents were in regular church, because kids get bored and tired and don't pay attention and all that kind of shit.
Very good people teaching, very good teaching, pastors, ministers. I think we called them probably more ministers.
You think he probably called them more ministers than pastors? You did? Did you? Do you remember? You think you called them ministers? Listen to that again real quick. Again, fuck me. Don't ever ask a question.
And would spend an hour, and we had some very good people teaching, very good teaching, pastors, ministers. I think we called them probably more ministers. And the church was associated, it was called First Presbyterian Church, and it was...
Yeah, because we wouldn't go to the second one. That's, yeah, I mean, if they came in second, I mean, are they any good at churching?
A very old building, but a beautiful building, white, just beautiful building, actually.
Apparently, the part about it being white really stuck out.
And I'd love to go back and visit it sometime. I haven't been in that area in a little while, but I'd love to go back and visit it. But it was a great feeling. So I went to Sunday school on Saturday, and sometimes we'd have a little Sunday school after the church service, but most people like that actually on Saturday better. And I did that for a while, a number of years actually, and would go to church. And you know, the bottom line is it made me...
Here it is, the bottom line. I went for years. What's the bottom line?
Feel good. Even at a young age, it made me feel good. Sometimes.
All right, hey, that's the kind of church we're talking about, baby. If it makes you feel good, do it. It was the church of, if it makes you feel good, do it. It made me feel good. Well, why? First of all, it's bullshit. This is all nonsense. But hold on. I also... First Presbyterian Church in, let's see. Let's see. Okay, so, okay, he means the First Presbyterian Church of Newtown, I'm pretty sure, which would be this one. Hold on, let me drag this over. This is probably the one he's talking about. This is not the First Presbyterian Church of Queens. There's a empty lot where that one is. This is probably the one he's talking about that he went to a long time ago. It was May 2009. It was built in 1895. The parish hall was built in 1931. Elmhurst neighborhood of Queens. Church, parish hall, and the current Queens Boulevard. Let's see. Built a structure that was demolished during the Revolutionary War. Second building, called the Old White Church, was erected in 1791 and remained standing until 1928. The congregation moved its current building when it was completed in 1895. Manse was built in 1907. Both the church building and manse were moved in 1924 when Queens Boulevard was widened. The parish hall was built in 1931. Late Gothic revival, granite, brownstone, blah blah blah. 1669, the town planned a new church. Separate buildings. So this is kind of the old white church. This is what he's talking about. Gee, I can't imagine why his father took him to that particular church. It's almost as if he liked the name. Also, that old white church does not look all that different from the church I went to as a kid, which was Peaks Mill Christian Church, which it's a white steeple church. On the left-hand side is the graveyard. We got a building extension when I was 11 years old. Like 81 probably when it was finished. And in that side buildings where we had Sunday school, before that we would have it in the deacon's room off the main hall, which is to your right. So there's and then the baptismal part of it, I guess if you guys are facing me, if I was the preacher, the door over here would be the way the kids would go. We'd come in, you'd sing the main hymn, you'd say a prayer, and then the kids would all get the fuck up, get out of there, and go to Sunday school while the parents sat through regular church. And then if you got baptized, which I was at 11, you don't have to be till you're 13 when your pubes start showing up and the devil starts getting a hold of you. But I decided to jump in early because I'd read the Bible twice and I wanted to be an irritant just like Jesus was and outsmart all the deacons. So I was baptized at 11 in the basically this giant bathtub that's to the side of the pulpit over here, and you put on a white gown and you go through, and it's like this giant wet t-shirt contest in front of the whole place, and everybody goes, oh, he's good breeding stock. Look at him, basically buck naked, soaking wet, and the cold water doesn't seem to affect him at all. And so it's true. And you're welcome. And I love Hal's Christian lady voice. Well, and we had my favorite thing, I think, about church in general, besides the values that I learned and still apply to this day, was the Rotens, which were a couple, and the very classic for a church. If you went to church in the same time period, maybe even still to this day in a lot of places, you'll have the wife who sings the high part and the husband who sings the bass. And so whenever there's a hymn going on, there's all these, if you read in the hymnal, there's all these like these secondary lines and refrains that are in these things. Hank Sparks, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? I didn't get schlonged. The community got schlonged. Anyways, so, but the wife would always be going, I will cling to the old rugged cross. Like the husband would do that part. You know what I mean? If you're familiar. Okay. Do you think Donald Trump can tell a story like I just told? Well, it's pretty simple. You know? Can he name one hymn? Does he have one remembrance? I mean, how much potato salad did he eat at a fucking church cookout, or a little, like, the Easter egg hunt? What was the Easter egg hunt like there? See what I mean? That's your mom and dad, Manchita? Nice. Tell them I would love to sing the middle harmony part with them sometime. So, right? Let my Cameron go. So, do you think he can, a single story like that? Any story of some kid bringing a BB gun and accidentally shooting someone in the arm. Gee, I wonder who that happened to. Still stings on cold winter nights. Anybody have a story of the preacher's wife who was allegedly sleeping with the guest preachers who would come through town, or the book of cassettes that I purchased called Carbon 14 Dating and the Lie of the Dinosaurs, which was had a giant addendum book and 16 audio cassettes that I like worked off the money for so I could buy and listen to it, which proves that 12 cassette like booklet thing that had all these recordings and sermons on how men and dinosaurs lived at the same time. I so fucking wish I could find it. Now, it's probably online somewhere at this point, but holy shit. Like, I'm just saying, see how quickly just the thought of church getting brought up, I can blitz through a dozen fucking, all right. This is where he's like, well, it was good and I felt good and it was I remember the building and feeling good. Because he went when he was a toddler and he stopped going as soon as he could say the word no.
You couldn't get out of there fast enough, I have to be honest with you.
Hold on, wait.
And the bottom line is it made me feel good. Even at a young age, it made me feel good. Sometimes you couldn't get out of there fast enough, I have to be honest with you. And sometimes a lot of it depended on who was there and who was your teacher.
Hold on. Kent, what is it? Kent Hyvend? You got a Kent Hyvend tapes? I don't know if that was the guy's name. I can picture in my head hold on. Kent. Kent Hovind. No, the guy that did this, he's definitely part of the young Earth bullshittery, but Yeah, you're proving can always point the steel can be used to date things the way scientists were doing, using carbon-14 to date things aged millions and hundreds. Okay, blah blah blah. Yeah, he's into the carbon-14 stuff, but it wasn't him. This guy's too young. The guy who did it was an old preacher who was, barnstorming around. He probably died in a shootout with the police over cocaine.
One of the things that did happen as I grew older, we went to Marble Collegiate because my father was in Queens and Brooklyn mostly, and I started there, and then I went to Manhattan and started doing things in Manhattan. I became much more Manhattan-oriented, and I started a church, Marble Collegiate Church. It was a beautiful church, and down on Fifth
Notice how he says he didn't say I started going to.
Avenue in the 20s, and I started going there, and that was Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, who wrote the book, The Power of Positive Thinking. And I was telling...
Okay, no. He went there because Peale spoke there.
Stories about him. I don't know if you'd like me to do that, but
I'd love it.
He was a great, you could call him a pastor, I think, or a minister, but I never differentiated actually with him. But what he was is...
because it didn't fucking matter, because you went there because he was... I'm doing the weave. Was I doing the weave? He didn't give a shit. He wasn't there because he was a pastor or a minister. He was there because he was selling magic.
Unbelievable speaker and loved God, but he was able to speak, and, this doesn't often happen. And when the service was over, you were disappointed that it wouldn't continue. He would tell stories of modern day things as it related to the Bible. And he was actually an incredible storyteller. He told the story of Alfred Sloan, who was the founder of General Motors, and he was down and out. He suffered from massive alcoholism and lots of other problems. And then he came back, and Norman, and he rose, and he'd tell the story about a man who became a great business leader. General Motors, especially. I mean, you could say especially then, because at that time there was they didn't have a lot of foreign competition. This was a whole.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, okay. Well, I told an anecdote and came back to doing what I was doing. This motherfucker is this I guess the weave has come unraveled.
A ball game, and it was
all the weave shall come unraveled, and the Lord shall lose his way, and we roam through the desert, and we worry we'll turn gay. YMCA. Sorry.
The biggest at that time. And he did a phenomenal job for a long period of time, and he became a very religious man, actually. But he told the story in great depth and detail, and it was always so fascinating the way he spoke. And I watched, because
What do you mean? Incomplete, coherent sentences and paragraphs with a beginning, a middle, and an end? With a continuity in the concepts discussed that come to a conclusion that is actually interesting? Something like that? All right. It's amazing. When he spoke, people wanted to hear it. They didn't walk out, you're saying? They didn't go, this fucker's never going to get to the end of this. I don't even know what the shit he's talking about at this point. He's just blathering, let's beat the traffic. Really, nobody did that with Norman Vincent Peale? Oh, fuck.
I didn't know him as a young minister or preacher, because a lot of people call him a preacher.
Or pastor. Jesus Christ.
I just called him a religious man that made religion very interesting.
Is that what you did? Wouldn't it be easier to just say preacher? I call it, excuse me, have you seen the man who's a very religious man who makes religion interesting? Huh? He talks in regard to religion in a way that, like, he would go, oh, and then he was like, oh, and then he comes back to it, and you're like, like that guy. You mean our minister? Yeah, a lot of people call him that. I'd like to refer to him as the fella that speaks when the time is right for the thing, and then the story goes, wow, and you're like, hey. Oh, yeah, him. He's right over there. His name is Norman. this is his superhero origin story for his faith. And in case you weren't following along, when we last left our intrepid hero, he was 3, maybe 6, and couldn't wait to get out of church. And then years passed, and he went to see Norman Vincent Peale speak at a large church, probably because he did it for free. And if you went to one of the lectures that Peale gave, he charged money. But if you saw him in a church, it was free. So Trump went to the church that he didn't go to as a church. So that's why he didn't know how to address anyone or who did what at the church, because he'd never fucking been there before.
He made all aspects of religion very, very interesting.
It's like a gift. All aspects of it. All right, that's cool. Can you imagine? Can you imagine if we used AI and just made Harris say this? Just took Harris and made Kamala Harris, digitally take these words, make it in her voice, and she's saying it. And then we played this for a bunch of people. The right would flip the fuck out. They'd go, she's the dumbest fucking person. This is all fake. She's never set foot in a church. She's a lying Jezebel whore. Like honestly, right? Wouldn't they? Check me on this. Chat room. Agree? Agreed. If we used AI and just converted this into it, so if you watched it for using a deep fake, holy shit, I can't listen to her. This is just nonsense. And you go, actually, click, and you go, this is actually Trump speaking. We just made it look like her and her voice using AI to see how you would react to it. Don't give them ideas. Oh, I got news for you. It would only work for us, because the true version is available in its form, even if they made a fake version of it and they were like, listen to this bullshit. Ultimately, people would go, yeah, that's a deep fake. And the news would be a deep fake. So people would go and watch this nonsense and they go, oh, fuck that dude. Good Lord. Jesus.
And probably it was the way he did it, his performance in a sense.
Yeah, it was probably, yes. When you're talking to a crowd, it's probably the way you do it that makes it interesting. Jesus.
But I watched him for a long time. I got married in
an hour
in the church, and he was
during the ceremony. What'd you do? Hire him to speak at your wedding?
The minister. And then what happened is I watched him get older, and he was still great into his late 80s. And I watched his last sermon, and he got up to the lectern, and
he keeled over.
He looked at the audience, and he said, I just can't do this anymore. He was just very tired. I was there, actually. It was amazing.
Huh. Were you? Also, why is that coming to mind? Because I got to tell you, listening to him lately, that sounds like what this motherfucker's about to do. It's a little foreshadowing, kids.
And the whole church got up. And the church, by the way, you see some churches aren't getting big crowds. This church was packed every Sunday. When he spoke, every Sunday. And then they had the flow rooms, I guess they called them, where you had rooms that had like television sets or whatever it was, closed circuit, I think they called it. And you'd sit there and you hoped you didn't go there, but it's a reasonably big church. But sometimes, and they'd have them all over the place. I mean, they'd have all these rooms.
Hold on, real quick. I want to see something.
Church got up, and the church, by the way, you see some churches.
Hold on, wait. He says, like, how old was he?
Right into his late 80s, and
his late 80s. Okay.
I watched his last sermon, and he got up to the lectern.
He watched his last sermon in his late 80s.
And he looked at the audience,
and
he said, I just can't do this anymore. He was just very tired.
Yeah, you saw the last one?
I was there, actually. It was amazing.
He was present. He was there. He was now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but Hal, Dr. Norman Vincent Peale's final hour of power sermon was in 1991, and he was 92 years old when that happened. This is at the, by the way, this is at the Crystal Cathedral. I think it's the one, is this the one outside of San Diego that looks like a fucking castle in like the game Diablo? Lordy, Lordy. Robert Schuler's Hour of Power. And then with Dr. Joyce Brothers, there's Schuler. And then Norman Vincent Peale. There's Schuler. Remember that dude? And then there's Dr. Joyce Brothers. And she's got some questions and some answers. She's going to talk to you about good sex versus great sex. This is right up. This is after she did The Lonely Guy and she was in bed with him. Okay, so Norman. Oh, they go through this. And then there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, real quick, play this. There he is. This is Norman Vincent Peale.
A book of mine and one by Joyce Brothers. But he says such nice things. I am very proud of him. I've known him for about maybe 40 years. And he has become the greatest minister of the gospel, not only in this country, but around the world. It's an achievement of spectacular worth. Believers are winners, so said one of the most famous athletic coaches in the United States. Believers are achievers, so said one of the greatest business leaders
Here comes the
in the
punchline.
city of New York. Now, both statements are true. But Jesus said the same thing 20 centuries ago when he said, if you can believe, all things are possible to him that believeth.
That's right. He did not say believeth, by the way. Anyways, 92 years old, still got it. He's an old man. It's okay. He's a sweet enough guy, never hurt a soul. Norman Vincent Peale, just like one of these, like one of the movements of like nice guy Christianity. Yeah, fine. That's, again, 92 years old, not anywhere near his last sermon. Trump is full of shit that he was present at it. If anything, Trump watched it on television. He was not there.
And the whole church got up. And the church, by the way, you see some churches aren't getting big crowds. This church was packed every Sunday. When he spoke, every Sunday. And then they had the flow rooms, I guess they called them, where you had...
Sorry, Peale retired what? Sorry? Retired in 1984 from Marble Collegiate? Gotcha. So he wasn't even well near the end of his life. Although his age does rely on it. He was in his early, he would have been, if he stepped down at 83 or something, 84, he would have been 83 years old. He wouldn't have been in his late 80s at all. He would have been in his early 80s, but whatever. Just saying.
Rooms that had like television sets or whatever it was, closed circuit, I think they called it.
Yeah, that's what they used to call it.
And you'd sit there and you hoped you didn't go there, but it's a reasonably big church, but sometimes, and they'd have them all over the place. I mean, they'd have all these rooms with it, and some of them pretty good sized rooms. The place was packed all the time. But I watched him as he got up, and he said that. He just said, no, I can't do this anymore. I won't be able to do this. It was his last sermon. And he always
No, it wasn't. It was by no means his last sermon.
stood to the left of the lectern, and he was holding it. And he always held it, let it go, hold it, and walked around a little bit. But he was very comfortable to the left. I remember always it seemed that. But he was holding it with his right hand and just said, I can't do this anymore. And he was, I don't know if he hit 90, but he was not a young guy. But he was a fascinating person to watch. He was great. He was great. The other person that I found.
Also, do you notice in the whole story about Norman Vincent Peale, it was all about the crowds he drew and how they had to have overflow rooms and how he stood there and how like one hand on the lectern, his left hand all the time, but now he's using his right and that kind of stuff. Just all superficial crowd-based shit, right? None of it has anything to do with the content of what he said at all.
Incredible, because my father would take me to Yankee Stadium to see Billy Graham, right? Billy Graham. And that place would be packed, and he was amazing, and he was...
Again, it's all about how packed it is.
That was another one, and he had a gentleman who would sing How Great Thou Art. You know who that is, right?
Of course.
And he sang it, Shay, that's right. He sang it for years, and my father thought it was the greatest. It was, I'd said, well, compare this to Elvis's version. Later on to my father, long later, but, you know, Elvis, this was before Elvis almost.
Fuck me. This is so aggravating.
But I said, Dad, which is better? He said, not Elvis. And we all like Elvis, right? But, you know, he was just, he was great. But Billy Graham was great. He had...
Yeah, Elvis was great. Billy Graham was great. Place was packed, tax-free. I don't know how he did it. I should have started a church instead of pretending to build buildings, I mean.
an influence. He had a real influence. And it's nice to see Franklin Graham doing so well. He's doing so many things for so many people.
You know, it's amazing because your faith has played such a...
Nothing. And she's trying, man. She is, look, Christian, she knows this. She's all up in his ass, whatever. But she knows her audience isn't. This is the key part. She knows that they're all going, fuck are you talking? This is not how you react to faith and belief in God and the depth of spirituality that she's alleging we're supposed to have. Because every weekend when he's not here, it's all about how deeply you feel it and how you walk in the faith with the Lord. And like she slams that shit into their head. And then this dude comes up and goes, I don't know, how big are your crowds though? I mean, it's really about crowd size, isn't it? I mean, what was the turnout at the Sermon on the Mount? I bet I kicked its ass. Fuck me.
Role in your actions. Like when you mentioned Franklin, many people don't know that even recently you organized and gave $7 million to Samaritan's Purse for the North Carolina disaster.
Oh, no. Organized and gave. No. You don't get to conflate those things, you dippy. No.
Relief.
No, he didn't. No, he fucking did not. No, don't. You're with arms wide open. She lies like a fucking rug with arms wide open. No, he didn't. He did not give any of that money. He showed up, made a speech. He didn't even pay for the fucking podium or the microphones. Fuck off. He literally just took credit for it. He did nothing.
Amen.
Well, you couldn't give it to a better person. It's amazing.
You didn't give it to anybody. Other people gave. Other people.
Yeah, we raised a lot of money and we gave a lot of money.
Yeah. We raised a lot of money and we gave a lot of money. Did you, fake billionaire? Did you match those funds? Here's a fucking crazy idea. Here's a nutty concept. Did you match funds with how many people? Yeah, well, people gave $3.5 million, and we matched that, so we reached $7 million. We were very proud of that fact, and nothing, fucking nothing.
I had a friend of
She
mine.
looks like the Terrifier.
Steve Woodcock, he gave him $1 million or something. They are just, a lot of people are very generous, but Franklin.
Yeah, not you. Yeah, Steve Witkoff wrote $1 million check. Did you? No. And you're supposed to have more money than Witkoff. What the fuck?
Does a great job. He's always, whenever I go to, because as president, I do it a lot. You'd go to a tornado or you'd go to a hurricane. I mean, I saw.
That's what you do. Yeah. Mostly the openings. You do the ribbon cuttings on tornadoes. You do. If you're president, you go to a tornado. You know, I'd love to stay. I'm sure the dinner's lovely, but I have a hurricane and I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late for my hurricane. You go, do you? That's what you do?
A lot of very bad things. The destruction of nature is amazing.
You mean, excuse me, you're talking about God's thumbnail there.
Some of these tornadoes, the big ones I watched, and I'd look, and it was like cut by a razor blade. The damage on the left was 0, and the damage on the right was devastation. It would be like when you fly over it.
So you're saying that on the left there was no damage? Because you don't, 0 damage is not, never mind.
In a helicopter, you'd see a straight line, as straight as it could be, but it was literally cut.
Bullshit! Bullshit! No, it's not literally cut by. You know why you think that? Because you were that fucking far away. You weren't in a helicopter, you dumb motherfucker. You were looking out a window of a plane, just like everybody else. No! We've all seen Twister, you dumb motherfucker. I've lived through 3 fucking hurricanes. I've lived through fucking 2 major earthquakes, you dipshit. What the fuck are you talking about? God's not cutting lines of coke with fucking tornadoes, you absolute asshole. What?
A tree on the left wasn't touched. A tree on the right was turned upside down, and sometimes it was 500 yards away. Amazing, the power of nature. But whenever I go,
It hurts. It just gives you kind of it's like this whole area. Anybody experience this? This whole area just goes numb, from basically here forward.
there I see Frank.
I think it's because nature, like when someone is this dumb in your presence, there's some like leftover primate stuff from when we were Neanderthals where you'd go kind of with your lizard meets primate brain would go, this person is so stupid, they might get us all killed. Therefore, I must beat them to death with a rock. But I'm having thoughts that that's not a good thing to do. So your entire prefrontal cortex goes numb. So you're like, never mind. Maybe that's what it is.
But he's always there. He's always the first one to. I said, I'm going to beat you to one of these sites one of these days, Franklin. And he really means it. He's a good person. I mean, I had one problem with Franklin. Should I tell him the problem?
Sure.
She's saying, uh-oh.
It's a great one.
No, but I was telling. I tell stories. We have these big rallies. Last night we had a great rally at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, yeah. Look at his face. That went great. Yeah. Totally going to win New York now. That was amazing. All the Hitler comparisons. By the way, can I say something for the record? I don't want to bum him out, but Hitler had a bigger crowd, and he wasn't even there. Like the Nazi rally that happened that he was copying had a bigger crowd. I know it's probably very upsetting, but he couldn't even match that. And that was back when people, there was only a few buses. The trains were all local, and I mean, try catching a cab in the 30s. Am I right? Jesus.
And sometimes I'll use a little bit, not hard foul, but soft foul. We call it soft foul. But, to emphasize.
I'm sorry, what is that? Uncooked chicken? What's soft foul? You mean soft foul language?
Something about somebody's capabilities or whatever I might be talking about.
Also, can I just say nobody does that? No. let's just put this aside. He's a lying motherfucker on a bunch of shit. One of them is that he constantly, when he makes up a phrase to try and cover the fact that he doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about, he makes up a colloquialism that people say around him that nobody uses. Nobody says soft foul. Hey, use a little soft foul tonight. They're going to love it. I'm going to lay off the soft foul tonight and keep it clean. I might go hard foul tonight. Nobody talks like that around him. No, we call it fuck you. No, you don't. Nobody does. And as a matter of fact, most of the time when he says these phrases, he never says them again. Like sometimes it'll get stuck in his head because he'll make it up and he'll say it twice, like 2 rallies in a row. And then the next one, he'll fuck it up and then just blow it off and stop saying it. So no, not in any way do people around him say the words soft foul, where he goes, I think I'm going to call it soft foul, or I said a couple of soft fouls tonight. Nobody anywhere talks like that, especially around him. That's just a dumb lie in front of a large group of people. He is such a lazy, pathological liar, he doesn't even try anymore.
And I got a letter from Franklin, and I met him at the airport. It was on a visit that I made to actually...
I said, tell Franklin to have a Coke and a smile and shut the fuck up.
To...
What? You cannot use...
At the airport. He was there with his planes and
filth,
everybody.
flying filth.
Such great volunteers. They're really going. So anyway, I got a letter a couple of days later, and he says, Mr. President, it's Franklin Graham, and I just want to tell you, I love what you do. I love what you say. I love your stories. I think they're great. And keep telling them, but they'd be even better if you wouldn't use foul language. And I went, true.
Hey, don't worry. He doesn't mean the bigoted anti-woman stuff. He just means the swear words. The feelings, the ideas, the moral lapses, and the disgusting concepts, he's totally good. Just don't say fuck and you're cool. You can be anti-gay, anti-woman, fuck poor people. Just don't say fuck poor people. Just go, some people's responsibility is in another's hands and we leave that up to God. That's how you say fuck poor people in Franklin Graham's speech.
I said, ooh. I didn't know. I wasn't sure. Was I supposed to be honored or not? And but he said the foul language, so I thought about it. And I said, I'm going to try. And I did try. And I'm not sure I'd make the emphasis quite as good. I've been pretty good about it. But I'm not sure. Every once in a while,
he literally has gotten far worse since that letter. If that letter ever actually came, I'm pretty sure it was a conversation. It wasn't a letter or a fucking like phone. It sounds like a phone message when he describes it.
Need a little bit of something, a little spice to juice them up a little bit. But
I'm sorry, to what? Sorry, a little spice to what?
A little spice to juice them up a little bit.
I'm sorry, a little spice. Oh, you need spice to what?
A little spice to juice them up a little bit.
See, I would have said juice, but that has a sound in it, as opposed to whatever the fuck this was.
A little spice to juice them up a little bit.
Yeah, that was Jews him up. That was Jews him up a little bit. Now, do I think he meant to say Jews? No, I think it's a Freudian slip. But I guess he's saying that maybe deep in the recesses of his mind, he remembers the old Lenny Bruce bit. Probably not. Lenny Bruce said that Jews don't understand that there's that swear words have a value to them, a numeric value, because FUCK is worth 50 points, whereas SHIT is worth 5 points. And the reason is because both rabbis and priests, SHIT, only one of them FUCKs. Got it? Okay.
But I got that letter and I sort of laughed. I said, I'm not sure you're right about this, Franklin, but I'm going to give it a shot. But he's done a fantastic job. But so many of the people I know here that We just met backstage. I mean, they have been so incredible to us, and we've
Let me guess, fantastic
had
job.
them at the White House, a lot of the pastors and respected people. I recognized a lot of them just originally by just seeing them on television for so many years.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go to their churches. You don't go.
Right? Including you.
I was going to say, people don't realize that we met, literally, you were watching television and called me out of the blue. And I'll never forget, you said,
Nice tits.
you've got the it factor. And I said, oh, sir, we call that the anointing. And that was our hello.
Yeah, he didn't know what the fuck you were talking about, lady. He meant tit factor. I'm not kidding. Yes, there you go, Dejan. Yeah, Dejan, or to go. Yeah, entendu. Yeah, tit factor. That's exactly right.
And from the Swaggart families here, from Reverend Jimmy Swaggart to so many other great people that you've watched.
Is Jimmy
over the years.
Swaggart here?
He couldn't make it, but the whole family is
I
over
love
here.
Jim. Where is Jim? I love Jimmy
Donnie's
Swaggart.
here.
I don't even.
I'm pretty sure Jimmy Swaggart is ancient as fuck, right? Yeah, Jimmy Swaggart. I have sinned against you. Let's see. He is. Where are you? Yeah, he's 89. He probably could walk out and yeah. Let's see. He's got yeah. He's still got his show, the Jimmy Swaggart telecast.
I don't even know if he likes me, but I think he does. But I love. Where's Donnie?
Oh, you guys have a lot in common.
Where's Donnie? We got to see Donnie.
And
Where's Donnie?
they literally have one of the biggest
Is that?
networks.
Hi, Donnie.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Well, we say hello. How's he doing? Okay. That guy is a talented guy. So are you, by the way. Good job. Good job. Say hello to him.
And I think
Terrific.
so many people don't know the side.
Yeah, some people don't know.
Channel 5, KXAS TV.
100% chance that she would not live.
A preacher on TV. He leads a multi-million-dollar evangelical empire. Now he's confessed to a moral mistake, and he's pulling away from the pulpit for a while.
I have sinned against you, my Lord. And I would ask that your precious blood would wash and cleanse every stain.
Well, quite frankly, I think the motel staff will take care of most of them.
Until it is in the seas of God's forgetfulness. Thank you. Thank you. And God bless you.
Man, that's easy.
Marvin Gorman, a TV evangelist from New Orleans, was believed to have given photos of Swaggart and a prostitute to church leaders.
Yeah, he made a flip book.
I have no comment on that.
Gorman confessed to immorality a few years ago, but blames Swaggart for accusing him of numerous affairs.
Oh, dropkick me Jesus through the goalposts of life. I whipped out my wiener and it wasn't with my wife. Oh, Lord, please forgive me. I'm going to the devil to get back the books that I lent him last week. Oh, where's my dirty magazines, oh Lord? Where's my dirty, dirty magazines, oh Lord? Jesus Christ. Like, again, like this is why Trump likes Swaggart.
The scandal has rocked Assembly of God members everywhere, especially Reverend Don George,
Yeah, he had a full head of hair when this scandal started.
Swaggart's close friend.
Literally, and it just ran away. Dropkick.
Last 25 years.
It was as if a very dear friend had died.
But George says this incident, on top of the Jimmy Baker sex scandal, will not kill the televangelism industry.
Television is...
Oh, of course not. Yeah, on top of the Jim Baker sex. If you'll remember, these dudes were getting scattered ass left and right. This guy himself was like one of the few guys who wasn't getting laid in this whole process. Fucking Jim Baker was the RFK Jr. of the televangelists.
So we've taken a little bit of time because I have had the up close and personal seat in your life, to see God in your life. And we'll talk about faith offices and economy and immigration and everything in just a moment. But, you know, the media attacks you relentlessly. And you...
Yeah, they do. They just go after you.
You've been under lawfare and the absolute worst. I'll never forget Ralph Reed and Joanne, where we were at the Journey concert, my kids. And
you're at the Journey concert? Like, sorry. Are we going to find out this is a sad name for a concert? Like the Journey? Or you were actually seeing Journey?
And somebody said the president's been shot.
How did you grow up singing in church? Yes, I did.
And
by the way, she starts crying because she's telling the story. And watch Trump's reaction.
I froze, like so many people. I started crying and started praying. But
yeah, that wasn't Melania's reaction, I would like to say, for the record. For real. That was not at all, at all her reaction. I swear to God, she's reacting the way he wishes Melania would.
When you rose up with fight, fight, fight. Woo!
Yeah, just like Jesus would. I would like to say that in the same way that if Trump had just fucked up COVID less. Oh yeah, she's married to the lead singer of Journey. That's right. The Parnell, or Arnell rather, the new guy, or the fill-in guy after him, Jesus. But that's right. You're right. It wasn't the lead singer. I want to say it's the keyboard player. Isn't he the nutty, like born again in the band? Anyways, doesn't matter. You know how like Trump would have been probably reelected if he just fucked up COVID a little less? If Trump had literally risen up and instead of going fight, 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 said, this is wrong. We all need to come together for the good of our nation, or some like simple words. Oh, Jonathan. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Right. Not the singer, but the keyboard player, I think. Right. I think Joey Belladonna would be a great fit for Journey too. I don't know if he can get it. Steve Perry's no longer the singer, but he will always be the singer.
Thank you.
Watch his response to her.
I think so many.
See, this means she likes me because she's got tears. If she didn't have tears, no, she does. She really does. She's a great person. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
That's the response. That's the sum total. You can tell she likes me because she's got tears. If she didn't have tears, it means she doesn't like me. Melania didn't have tears. Just saying.
It was very difficult for so many of us that do dearly love you and not only respect you as president and what you've done, but love you as the man. And
sounds I don't know, it just sound like the most pious of relationships. By the way, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show.
we understand that, and I think the world got to see.
Yeah, where's my likes at, by the way? We got some likes? Are we good on likes? Has everybody hit the like that's hit the like? And if you've hit it already, you don't have to hit it again. If you want to hit a thumbs down, too, if you're a maggot and you're here and you're like, what the fuck? Hit the thumbs down. I don't care. It's like all engagement is good engagement, even if you type something in there. Yeah.
In one of the worst situations, that you knew and know that wasn't luck, that was God, because he has a purpose in your life.
Yeah, but it could also be God fucking with him, right? So you're saying Corey Comparator, God was just done with him. Maybe God does have a purpose for him, but it's as an example. Maybe he was being pantsed in front of the whole world. I'm going to let you live, but I'm going to remind you that you're mortal and you're going to live your last few years, reviewing the terrible things that you've done, knowing that you're going to pass away like everyone else, and your illusion of permanence is going to be totally destroyed, right?
So share just a tiny bit about God in your life now, and because we all have these journeys
She is so trying to drag this shit out of him.
of faith. We have ups, we have downs, we fall, we get back up, but you've consistently.
Yeah. That's that great old sermon. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Don't you ever want to let me down? I get, Lord. Yeah.
Had this deep respect and honor of God in your life. And that day, I think,
What?
showed the world when you.
Yeah, thank you. Showed the world what? That he can have his ears zinked by a piece of the fucking teleprompter?
Knew that God saved you for a purpose.
Well, thank you.
Yes, so that he could spend the next couple of years embarrassed in court, being, having his entire myth disassembled in front of the public and then going to jail like he deserves to. Of course. Yeah, let me tell you something. If God was, trying to do him a favor, death might have been an easier way to go. I'm not for it. But if you're talking about some sort of like magical thing, like he just lifted him up, took him from us, he was too good to be here, right? Jesus, these people.
Thank you very much. That was quite a day.
That was good, quite a day.
But we had a tremendous crowd in
Motherfucker! We had a... Listen to that. We had a tremendous crowd. No, he didn't. He lies about the number all the time. But every single answer starts with how big somebody's crowd size is. Like, can you imagine, gentlemen, can any of you imagine having a dick this small? I certainly can't.
Pennsylvania. And it was an amazing set of circumstances. And, my two sons are shooters. They're very good, very high quality. They'd be like a scratch golfer or better. I mean, they're both very good. They know everything about guns. And
they're your sons, and you don't even know the terms for their favorite thing?
They learned it from their grandfather. They spent time in Europe, back and forth during...
No, they didn't. They didn't learn about fucking AR-15s and MK-47s from their grandfather.
Summers and all, and
they learned from the douchebags they go and shoot endangered species with.
Good. But they understood, they know exactly what the weapon was that they used.
What was it? What was it? Anybody?
That this person used. And it was 130 yards away. And when Don called me first, he said, somebody was protecting you up there, because it's almost impossible for even a bad shot to miss you from that distance. Now, he didn't miss.
All right, fuck off. He was being shot at when it happened. It was a hurried shot. He wasn't even properly aiming. He was just firing down range. It's not hard to miss your target when you're doing that anyways. Don't believe me? Ask a survivor of a school shooting. Somebody who was in a fucking hallway.
To me, probably an eighth of an inch is the difference. And
yeah, and if there'd have been a nail in the road that was an eighth of an inch the other way, the dude would have got a flat tire and never showed up at the fucking event and blown his own brains out 3 weeks later. What are you talking about?
It all happened to be because I was looking there to the side on a chart on illegal immigration. Can you believe it?
Yes, You mean the one that says you no longer were president after April of 2020? The lie that you keep posting? I'm okay.
That famous chart, that now famous chart, but I never do it. It's very interesting because if you look at the circumstances, I never do it.
Yes, he does. And one of the reasons why he moved it to the front was because that they were focusing on that shit. It wasn't an accident.
Never use that chart at the beginning.
Yeah, you do.
And it's always on the left.
No, it isn't. No, it fucking isn't. We've seen multiple events. We've watched them before where he's got screens on both sides. Most of the time he looks to the right. What are you talking about? The left of what? Stage left? This is so dumb. And it's not even close to true. And am I wrong, or did this motherfucker say, like it was his fucking virginity in the fucking 1600s, I will speak of this once and ne'er speak of it again, at the fucking RNC, remember? Remember that shit? He was supposed to, I'm going to talk about this and what happened, and I'm never going to talk about it again. He won't shut the fuck up about it, and he screws up the story every time.
I never do it at the right, and I only use it maybe...
Yes, he does. Yes, he fucking does.
15 or 20% of the time. I don't use it for every speech, and, you know, I go off teleprompter a lot, which is, I think, better, but it's nice to have a president that can go off teleprompter, right? You know, we don't seem to be having that. We don't seem to be having that much anymore. But anyway, so I was talking...
Well, most presidential candidates recognize that the people that they're talking to, especially at the rally, have shit to do. One of the things that they have to do is go out and get other people to vote. Talk about what you're talking about in a clear, concise fashion. They have to be able to see what you said and hear it and understand it clearly enough that they pass it along to their friends and family or people at work that they're trying to get to vote for you. That's why you have a stump speech that's consistent. Otherwise, everybody'd be free balling all these years. It's because it fucking works. Listen to a maggot try to explain any of these fucking points that he's making, and they just sound like assholes. Even if they want to believe it, they sound like morons, and they can't articulate any part of it. You know, part of that is because they're fucking stupid. But the other part of the reason is that he describes it so poorly, and he's all over the fucking map.
About something, and I just said, you know, pull down that chart if you would, and I turned to the right very quickly, and ping.
That's not what happened. It's not what happened.
And I knew something was real bad. And I went down. I think I was screaming probably go down because, you know, I don't think I would have been that. If you see the thing, which you've only seen about 10,000 times, it's probably the most played clip ever. But if you see it, I mean, the move down was pretty fast. And I think I was probably listening to different people, including Secret Service, to get down. But
you think you were probably?
No, I got hit. And, you know, hit hard.
No, you didn't get hit hard. Your ear got nicked, you fucking weirdo.
And but it was 1/8 of an inch.
Corey Comparator got hit hard. The two other survivors got hit hard. They're not going to live normally ever again. Corey's dead, but the other two are not going to be healthy, normal, functioning people. I mean, they're permanently wounded. They're maimed because of this shit.
And I was down there, and some things are surreal. I was asked a question the other day by a big journalist. What was it like when you won the presidency?
Jesus Christ. By the way, Rogan asked him that question. A big journalist. A big journalist.
And, in fact, it was Joe Rogan that asked me.
Motherfucker.
This question. That was very good. Good question. I thought it was a good, and you know, I talked about it. It was sort of surreal because all of a sudden I'm riding down to the White House and I'm passing a building that I had just built, a hotel, Pennsylvania Avenue, beautiful, and I sold it to.
He also didn't build that. That's an old fucking building. It's the post office. He didn't build that fucking thing.
It's a Waldorf Astoria now. It's nice.
Yeah, now it's making money and people actually want to stay there, and it's not just a fucking gathering spot for fucking Russian spies.
And it was very successful. And then we go down a little further and we're...
It is very successful after.
At the White House, and then all of a sudden I'm standing by the Lincoln bedroom. I said, that
Oh,
was
my
such
God.
a surreal experience. But when I was shot in front of, massive numbers of people, tremendous numbers, you couldn't even see the end.
Oh my God. The fact that he was shot, the crowd size. But can you imagine if Reagan went, well, there was only about 15 or 20 people around the car. It would have been way better if the street was full of people to watch me get shot. Like, Jesus.
And I was down there. I fully understood what had happened. I was shot in the ear, and the Secret Service thought I was shot elsewhere. They thought I was.
No, they didn't. It is their job to check. People get shot all the time and don't know they're wounded, especially if they've been shot in multiple places. They'll feel total pain in some superficial wound, and the rest of they might have an abdominal shot they don't feel at all, and they look down and black blood is coming out of their abdomen because of that. And the Secret Service people know that. They're trained on that, you fucking moron.
I was shot much more than once, and I guess 8 bullets were shot, and the Secret Service person shot 1, also helped, but as I understand it, probably by the local police who shot 1, also hit the rifle, and Secret Service guy hit the target, but both of them...
By target, he means the top of Crooks's head.
Played a very big role. Otherwise, you would have had a much, because he had a lot of ammunition, this guy, a lot of people. And it was wall-to-wall people. It would be like, taking everybody...
It was outside. There were no walls. What the fuck?
Going back as far as you can. It was as dense as it is right in this room, right?
No, it isn't. No, it wasn't. It's on video, you dumb motherfucker.
Now, so it could only hit people. But I knew exactly where it was. So I knew it was my ear. They said no. I said, no, it's my ear. I got like 7 or 8 guys sitting on top of me. They were heavy. They were very heavy.
Okay, first of all, bullshit. Oh my God. We all heard what he said. You just heard he kept his mouth shut until he started looking for his shoes. There was not a big conversation about whether he's okay or not.
People. And anyway, but and by the way, they were very brave because, they were they jumped on top of me and the bullets were flying right over their head. They were.
Yeah. Plus, if you jump on top of him, he's going to express some bodily semi-solids and some gas. Happens every time. It's just gonna come out. He's barely holding it in most of the time anyways. You're gonna get shit on your sleeve.
Very Secret Service was very brave. They were very brave. And, they really were. It was incredible. I heard the bullets. I didn't know. You hear those things are moving. And you hear them as clear as you can.
Really? Bullets travel fast, do they? Yeah? You hear them whiz by because they're going fast? Bullets? I don't know much about guns and bullets, but they're faster? Yeah. So you're saying they're probably about the same speed as Superman or slightly slower?
As clear as I hear you. So anyway, but what I did see is when you're in that position...
prone,
you have like this feeling that usually a lot of times you wouldn't really understand. I had total, but when Don called me up, he said, Dad, you know what?
All right, what does anybody know what that means? You're laying there on the ground and there's a bunch of fucking people on top of you and you're like, I feel good. Feel like when I was in church as a little kid. It's basically the same thing. I'm in church and there's a big guy laying on top of me. It reminds me of church. What?
For 130 yards, to me it sounded pretty far away, but for a shooter, 130 yards is like nothing. And he said, it's a miracle that that's when I first realized it's a miracle that bullet just hit your ear.
No, it isn't. It's a miracle the dude got up on the roof. I mean, if you want to talk about, like, things the odds are against, the dude was walking around with a gun. They pulled the 2 guys who were watching the roof where he was planning to go. Otherwise, they'd have seen him and shot him before he fucking went anywhere.
It's a miracle. But if I didn't turn...
No. You could equally say it's a miracle he was able to get a shot off that clipped you. If you hate you and you think the miracle's the other way, like I bloodied the king, right? You could, if you were on his side, you'd think that was a miracle more so than the fact that you nearly got shot.
So all of these circumstances, if I didn't turn at that exact angle, because he was right exactly 90 degrees, he was exactly there.
Oh my God, if he hadn't paid his car registration, he wouldn't have been pulled over a week earlier and they wouldn't have found the shit in his trunk because, like, fuck off.
If I didn't turn, if I turned halfway, no good. If I turned a little bit past that, no good. It had to be that exact angle. And I was going further, but this was the angle, and this was when the bullet came in, because 100th of a second later, I would have been turned too far, because I was going further, another 25%.
Also, no, you weren't. What do you mean you were going further? This is so weird.
The chart was back here.
And does Cheeto not have PTSD? He totally has PTSD. Untreated. There's no question. He has untreated PTSD, and nobody around him gives a fuck. And he's treated so many people poorly in his life that, even when I feel the urge to, have some semblance of sympathy for his circumstance, he has built this he's dug this hole he's in. This is not, this is not a person who just I don't know, I just don't know how to relate to people. I've just got social problems and people don't understand what I'm going through. And somebody would come up and go, you feeling okay? This is a lot. We got to sit down and talk about this. You need to work your way through this. You need to do some breathing exercises. You need to figure out what to do if you start feeling panicked or any of this stuff, because you clearly are experiencing these things and your brain is going to start seizing up if you don't deal with it. Nobody's doing that, especially not his fucking kids.
So I was doing that and it went by. And he said that, God has to have done this because it's impossible. Think of all the circumstances.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Don Jr. did not say God had to have done this.
When you think of all the circumstances, you're turning.
You're turning. You got the big racist picture on the screen, which God loves. You got a fireman just over your shoulder, ready to catch the bullet. He's there with his family. He doesn't want them to die. If he didn't like his family, that wouldn't work out. The guy is up on the roof after he's been able to wander around, because everybody in all my fan base are so pro-gun, you can't even ask somebody a question or they'll shoot at you if you go, where are you going with that gun? So lucky.
Big luck right there, right? Big something. Something happened.
Notice he's used to saying luck. He has no survivor's guilt. None whatsoever.
You'd be just in that position, and it was only 1/8 of an inch off, right? So it's like, I mean.
And also, the fact that the bullets killed Corey Comparator, the nerve of somebody to go, it barely missed me. Yeah, because what? God flicked it away so it could hit the fireman? Fuck off.
It's incredible. But also, as I said, I'm never right. I'm always left. It's always at the end. I never.
Lies. None of that is true.
Pick it up at the beginning. This was almost the first sentence of what I was talking about, right at the beginning, first paragraph at least. And it was very early. So there was so many different things. And I remember Don, and then it was confirmed by Eric. Eric said, I can't believe it. And when I got to the hospital, the doctors and everything was great, unbelievable. But it was, the ear bleeds a lot, just in case you don't want to find out about it. But the ear bleeds a lot.
Hey, asshole, both of my ears are pierced. This one's pierced 3 times. No, it doesn't.
A lot. The doctor said the most in the body has to do with
bullshit.
Cartilage. I don't know, but man, there was a lot. And
no, it's not because it has cartilage in it. It's the capillaries. Cartilage, fuck me. He doesn't know the difference between capillaries and cartilage. He doesn't. He does not know the difference between capillaries and cartilage, sorry. That's what it is. Somebody said capillaries. He said cartilage. Because they were talking about the cartilage that got nicked and how hard it'd be to regrow it, any of that shit. And he literally doesn't know the difference between those 2 words.
I said, why does it? He said, let me tell you, before I tell you that, I suggest you go and buy a lottery ticket. The doctor told me that. I'm sitting in the... I said, why? He said, you are the luckiest guy. I've been doing this for 25 years. that I'm even talking to you is a miracle, or that I'm talking to you is a miracle, right?
Absolutely.
So somewhere, all of us, we had a little help up there. And
Oh my God, there's like love up there. And by up there, I mean these are the box seats in this church where the rich people sit.
I would
They helped me coordinate this whole thing and fake it.
like to
Jesus.
think, and I don't know this at all, but I would like to think that it's because he wants our country and maybe the world to be helped. Wants our country to be helped. God wants our country to be helped. It would be.
Yes, and one of the best things for our country, and we'll leave it there because I had other stuff to cover and I don't want to go completely, just bury it all in it, because you get the point. Yes, I believe God wants to help our country. I think it wants to help us heal. And one of the things that it's going to require is for that asshole to be on a hard fade as his entire empire crumbles around him and he's revealed to be the misogynistic, racist, rapist pig that we all know him to be, and his own fan base eventually turns on him and maybe, just maybe, decides to go back to regular conservatism and treat their fellow Americans like human beings and stop being part of a cult. And the only way that happens is if he's not martyred. I have no interest in that asshole dying or prematurely. I have no interest in anybody being, that isn't in the direct action of killing someone to be taken off this earth. Right? And I would rather him be alive and sit through hours and hours and hours of testimony about what a pig he is and how shitty he treats his employees and how much fraud he's been involved in and how many lies he has told to prop up this bullshit house of cards empire that he's managed to be able to skate by on. And I want him to watch every fucking card of it fall one at a time in real time and then go to jail like a normal person for all the shit he's done. And so if I were God, and I very well might be, we don't know. We're trying to check right now. I've got feelers out. And there was a situation where he was going to be martyred. I would go, dink, nope. I wouldn't. Don't worry. I would make sure that something greater would come from the other people who were harmed because I was focusing on one particular thing and shifting. I'm very cautious about shifting the entire timescape of humanity. I can only do one or two things at a time without throwing the entire future out of order. You know what I mean? Because I blink an eye and it's a trillion years. So what do you want me to do? So I would flick that away and I would go, it's a good idea if this man survive so that he cannot be martyred and have his followers fall into a deeper, more violent haze. Right? That would make sense. If there is a hand of God in this, it is not, I want him to continue unmolested. If that was true, he would have acted earlier in the process. The bullet would have come anywhere near him. The shooter himself would have been taken out early, or the second shooter kind of thing would have happened, and that would be that, right? There's all kinds of things you could do to shift things around, one would think, in the space-time continuum if you didn't, right? If you didn't want that to go that way. But if you were like, I don't know, I think it's kind of important. This is an important lesson. Everybody needs to see this. This is a good opportunity. I'm gonna point of order, Mr. Chairman, slight deviation in the timescape right now. This asshole's been fucking around my timeline for a little while, so I'm gonna let him live, and he's gonna watch as everyone around him learns the lesson of his sinful, disgusting behavior. And eventually, hopefully, people will learn the moral lesson from the comeuppance that he got. Not that it was immediate and that he was freed from it, and everybody's got to go with something. And so we live in this kind of fucking like tornado of morality that, sometimes it runs through and kills you and sometimes it doesn't. It's all a flip of the coin. If there was any greater intelligent hand in this, it would be to make sure everybody got a chance to watch this asshole fall.